Sometimes there's a group of people out there that just need a little bit of tough love to get them pointed in the right direction. Stick around, we're going to talk about that. Hello again, and welcome to the Prince Magnum Channel, where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum, and this is going to be another episode of In Your Face. On In Your Face, every now and again, you know that I love to tackle, the occasional subject that borderlines on controversy, or sometimes just plain controversial in general. Oftentimes, the solution to the problem is so simple, it's right there. And so it's really not that controversial. It's simple in nature. Okay? As I'm making this video, a couple of weeks ago, I had to go pick up Princess Faye's paycheck. She was on vacation with family out in Oregon, which, as I'm making this video, I'm working on kind of a three-part video talking about that vacation and kind of what I experienced and some things along those lines. So, without talking too much about it, let's stick to the task at hand. I happened to look out and I seen all these people lined up, Karsh, on the opposite side of where my wife works, protesting. Now, immediately I got excited because this is my community. They're taking an active role. It has to be for something good. It has to be for something good. A noble cause. So I jumped in Project Lena because Project Spirit's got a few more things that has to be done. And I take off, go up Karsh, and I look at all the signs, and I was disappointed, angry, frustrated, and had many choice words, and I'm very grateful that nobody heard. And I then get to a spot, turn around, come back through. Here's some footage that I shot. If you didn't catch it, basically it was a church out protesting abortion. Now, immediately, I know some of you were sitting there saying, oh, Prince Magnum's one of the pro-choicers. And you couldn't be further from the truth. You all have to understand, I oftentimes see both sides. Now, in one case, one side, they're a little misguided, but their intentions are very perfect and very pure. And I will see, I mean, as it stands right now, I'm going to lean more towards them. That's the pro-choicers, okay? I'm not a pro-choicer, but I'm going to lean towards supporting them a little bit more. And the reason being is because medical technology is not to the point where we can, where we can get rid of abortion. There are also laws that make it where abortion is still a viable option. And until we meet all the criteria of making abortion obsolete, I'm going to support them. Okay? Now, that being said, let's take a look at our pro-lifers. Now there's the issue here. Why is it that I have a problem with pro-lifers? Well, I don't necessarily have a problem with them. You couldn't be further from the truth. First and foremost, okay, and I'm going to just say this right now. Here in the U.S., thankfully, we have separated church from state. One of the last times we've seen church and state get involved, people got burned at the stake. One of the last times. If you want something more recent, where people would say that God gave them the right to take lands from savages that worship the sun, the moon, the stars, the four elements and things like that, and that's why my people are nearly extinct. Okay, now that's why church and state should never mix. Okay, of course there's other examples too. If you'd like another great example, go to pre-Civil War. And why was slavery never just fully abolished? Well, if anybody did say that slavery was wrong, there was always someone who was in politics who had a plantation and owned slaves. It's in the Bible. And then they'd go, okay. That's why it went on. So keep your church out of my politics, okay? If your church is going to get involved in politics, your church needs to pay taxes. I pay my taxes, so I have the right to have a say-so in what goes on in the political system in my country. If your church isn't paying taxes, they don't have that right. They need to just focus on the well-being of a person's spiritual condition. Okay? Now, the other problem that I have is pro-lifers like to say that they're, pro-life, that they're all about, that killing, that this is killing and blah, blah, blah. And, and you see the signs everywhere, billboards, I could see, cold, hard facts. Pro-lifers are not pro-lifers. They're pro-baby, pro-birth, if you prefer, which I'm kind of leaning more towards in this case. They're pro-birth. But what about after the baby's born? Do they really care? The answer is not really. All they care about the child's well-being and whether or not they're putting money in the collection, in the offering plate. Of course they care about that. They care whether or not they have the right to tell that child how they're going to live their life. Basically strip away their individuality and cram them into a mold and make them another automaton Christian. They do that, okay? They do care about that. But as far as the child's upbringing, no, they don't. As far as whether or not that child is going to be able to live a healthy, productive life, no, they don't. Whether or not the birth of that child is not only going to kill the child and the mother, no, they don't. So they're pro-birth, not pro-life. If they were pro-life, this would be a totally different story. Many Christians will say, well, medical science, no. Medical science is not perfect yet. It is not to the point where we can completely eliminate abortion. There are some instances where the birth of a child would kill the child and the mother. Are you going to sentence them to that? Are you going to sentence 2 lives to death on your beliefs? I would hope not. I'm sure that goes under, one of the commandments, thou shalt not kill. Okay? Which oftentimes I often see Christians say, more or less treating that as the 10 suggestions. On top of that, what about the children that are born with severe, disabilities? And we're talking really severe ones. These children will never have a fair shake in life. And though some of them do get by and do very well. Some of them will never be able to function in a normal life. I've actually, to give you an example, and this hits home for me, okay? I have a child that, one of my sons, who's going to be 12 soon, and I love him to pieces. His mother did drugs the entire time she was pregnant with him. Now, she'll never admit this, but we've already had doctors confirm that. If this had been more of a severe case, would you give a child who's never done anything wrong in their life, okay, an innocent child, would you force that upon them? You know, in the more severe cases like that? And the answer is, I would hope you wouldn't. There are some things that are worse than death. Okay? Just saying. And then there's the stories of the unwanted child. And I remember hearing stories when I was younger, back when I was a teenager in high school, and as a young man in his 20s, I have heard stories where teenagers were pregnant. You know, young lady teenagers were pregnant. They would have their child in like a bathroom or something, dump the baby, and then go back to dancing at the prom. Okay? And no one knew the wiser. Okay? Because of the stigma of abortion and many of the stigmas that we have in this country, until we reform a lot of that, abortion is still needed. Okay? And I hear some of Christians right now who are probably watching this video very angry with me. We still have adoption in this country, and you are absolutely right. We do. We do have adoption. So an unwanted child can be adopted. However, the problem with that is most of the laws across the 50 states, hopefully soon 51, across the current 50 states, those laws are ridiculous. Okay? So unless you have a fat wallet, you're not gonna get a shot at adopting a child. And then again, what about the gay and lesbian couples? They're not, in most cases, they're not permitted to adopt children because of what the churches might say. Okay, because of religious beliefs. You're actually you're throwing a wrench in your own, in your own argument. Okay, basically, until we learn to let go of some prejudice and push for certain reforms, we still need abortion. And to go one step further, those who do have fat wallets and can adopt children usually have to go to another country still, because our laws for adoption are that ridiculous. So until you guys within the churches that want to end abortion actually work towards actual reform within the medical system, where our medical technology can save both the mother and child and fight certain ailments and things like that, until you're able to do that, we still need abortion. Until the laws make it easily and more accessible for parents to, for a couple that really wants a child but can't have one, to adopt, again, we still need abortion. And until the time, basically until we meet all of the needs to make it possible, we're still going to need abortion. Okay? So instead of protesting, I will suggest, if you want my support in the pro-birth category, start taking a more active role towards the means of making abortion obsolete. See how that works? It's a win-win situation for everybody, and everybody wins, including the kids. And I think that that speaks volumes over just protesting the end of something. And again, if your pastor, priest, or minister is getting involved in politics, having you guys get, putting you guys up to protesting and all these other things, they need to be paying taxes. And that is going to be a reform that I will push right here in this very state. Hopefully, a new 51st state, but that is another subject for another time. That brings us to the end of this episode of In Your Face. And again, this is not a tough subject, okay? This is just a simple solution for a win-win situation for everybody. And it's a compromise that we can all agree on. As always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't done those things, you're missing out. Especially that subscribe button. Hate it when I start coughing like that. If you have any positive feedback, be sure to leave it in the box below. If you leave any hate, be expected to be made fun of. As I'm making this video, I've got one of those videos to load, so you either A, may see this one first, or B, you'll see the other one first. But regardless, as always, get out there and work on a project. Don't care what it is, just do something with yourself. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet. Do something special for them. And as always, for all of you out there, even those of you in the church with serious prejudice, if no one out there has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you. Have a happy 24. Thank you.
Good night, ladies.